renovating it for it to become the Performing and Fine Arts Building. These are just a couple of pictures just so you guys can get the feel of what it kind of looks like. That's the exterior of the school. This is the mariachi band. I'll talk about it a little bit more in my further slides, and this is just a picture of their newly renovated basketball court. But I just want to give you a little bit of my concept. I really wanted my space to resemble high sophistication and dexterity of the performing arts spaces. I really wanted students to be really inspired in their performing and fine arts. Also, it's really important for students to reach higher education. That was really another one of my purposes. With my design, I wanted students to be inspired to succeed in their post-secondary education as well. And I felt that creating an environment of inspiration and learning would be very beneficial for that post-secondary success. So really, like I mentioned, the main purpose of my project was really for the students. I really wanted the students to be able to succeed and to be able to graduate. In high school, there is so many students that get into drugs, violence, especially in a school this big. There's such a huge mixture of students that not all of them graduate. And that was really my goal, to get students to be able to graduate. And so students involved in the arts are 4 times more likely to have academic achievement. They're 3 times more likely to win an award for school attendance, and 2 times more likely to graduate as their peers. 2 times more likely to graduate college as their peers with no arts background. And students who are really involved in the arts tend to, like I said, exceed academically and volunteer more. They are more active in their schoolwork, and they tend to be more successful. And those students who said that they were kind of failing in high school said that the arts really helped them achieve to those higher levels of education. And I really wanted my space to reach those students that would fall through the cracks, and I fought through the cracks, and I really wanted them to get to graduation, as it says in the bottom. And I wanted to explain a little bit about why it's a Tucson High magnet school and the characteristics of that. So magnet school has different educational themes. So like it says right there, it's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is STEM. And of course, the fine and performing arts, international studies, as well as CTE, which is career and technical education. And that's, photography, graphic design, all that kind of stuff. And then world languages. And of course, a high school is going to have your usual activities such as sports, football, volleyball, softball, all of that stuff. But what really characterizes a magnet school is that anyone can attend the school. It doesn't matter where your zip code is. It doesn't matter if you live near or far. Anyone can really apply to this place and get in. It doesn't matter if you have a lot of money, if you don't have a lot of money, it doesn't really matter. My point with that is that there's a large mixture of students at this school, and because there are so many new students wanting to come to the school, Tucson High has had to retrofit many of their spaces. And many of their spaces are kind of everywhere, I would say. So there's not one building dedicated to the performing arts, or there's not one building dedicated to CTE. It's all kind of mixed everywhere because they had to retrofit, and they kind of had to just place in students wherever, and they kind of had to accommodate for student sizes and different classrooms or different classes as well. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of pictures of what Tucson High currently looks like. This is the main gallery area, As you can see, it doesn't look much like a gallery. There's bookcases and books in there because when it's not being used as a gallery, it's also being used as a library. And sometimes it is used as a recital hall as well. Or not really recital hall, but for students to perform in there, which is not very useful when you need good acoustics for recitals. And it's a great multi-use. It's great that they use, that space for multiple things, but it doesn't really make sense in a way. So students can't always showcase their work. There can't always be recitals in there. This is one of their music room storage areas, and it's not very professional, it's not very sophisticated, and that's really what Tucson High stands on, to be award-winning, sophisticated, and that doesn't really represent professionalism. Everything is just kind of cluttered everywhere. You can see these are they're like acoustical sheets. They're ripped, and yeah, it's just not very professional. I saw some of them were put in with thumbtacks. That's how they were attached to the wall, and I really wanted to improve the space, not only for students, but for educators. I wanted them to be prideful of where they go to school. So here are whoa, that's not the right button. Sorry. So this first one is the choral room, and then this is the band room. And as you can see, they're a little bit older because this is a really old school. But the problem is everything's kind of cluttered everywhere. With Tucson High, they do various tours to get students to come to their school. And when you show students this, or can you show students this, it's not very convincing, it's not very sophisticated, and doesn't look like a high standard school. So I really wanted to transform this space to resemble a high standard school. Here is, that's my mom, by the way. But with this is actually the mariachi storage room. And if you guys don't know what mariachi is, it's a type of music that originates in Mexico, and it usually consists of 4 string instruments and sometimes a trumpet. But it's just basically music that comes from Mexico. But mariachi is really important in Tucson culture as well as in Tucson High. And as you can see, everything's just on the floor. Their very expensive attire is on the floor. It's just thrown in a random classroom. And their actual practice classroom is in the basement of the gym. So they have to travel to a different building to come and get their stuff, which made absolutely no sense to me. And these are just pictures of the hallways in Tucson High. They're kind of bland, plain. They don't really have anything to do with high standard school, award winning. They're not showcasing any artwork. And it's very icky, the walls are very dirty. Reminded me like the DMV. That's what it reminded me of. It was very cold. And I completely wanted to transform the space. There's so much potential to showcase artwork on the walls, to inspire students, but there's really nothing here. So what I really wanted to apply to this space, I really wanted to inspire students, for them to go after their passions and realize what they love to do. Again, I really wanted this school to resemble the high standards, and I wanted it to resemble dexterity. With that, these are my research concepts. I really wanted to improve each and every one of these performing spaces. When you guys saw, everything was very cluttered, nothing really made sense. It was very unorganized and unprofessional, and of course I wanted to improve those spaces. As well as learning environment. This is a high school, so of course I really wanted students to be able to be in an environment where their learning is achieved which I'll talk about that a little bit more in my rest of the slides. And of course, my one priority that I really focused on was safety and security. I talked to some of you guys know, but my mom is actually my committee member. She is in charge of safety and security in facilities at Tucson High. And she has told me that this is so heartbreaking, she gets several bomb threats a month. Several, that's just, and then a month. And I just thought that was insane. Luckily, none of them have been real, but what are the chances that one of them could be real? You really never know. You guys have seen on the news, all the shootings are, they're normal now, and that's really sad to say. But just as someone, my mom works out the school, so imagine how scary it is for me knowing that something could happen to her. Or I could only imagine what parents are feeling like when they send their students off to school. You really never know. So really, that was one of my top priorities, to make the space safe and secure for students. So I'm going to kind of briefly walk you through my floor plan. This is actually the shell of the current Tucson High. And I took the shell of it and I completely transformed the space. So at the top is where the main entrance is located. Okay, so these are the doors up here, and then you enter, and this is the auditorium entrance. And of course, you have the auditorium, the stage. You have bathrooms located right next to that, and then you have the prop storage, costume storage, dressing rooms, and scene shop and paint for those stage necessities. When there's a play going on, you can easily get the stuff that is being built in this area easily transported to the stage. You'll also have your basic administrative offices, so secretary, the registrar, the break room, and conference rooms. Next, you have the dance studios. So Tucson High teaches ballet, folkloric. You guys don't know what folkloric is. It's also a Mexican type of dance. It has hip hop and jazz. And so that's why these spaces are rather large, just to accommodate for the large number of students. And of course, there's the men's dressing rooms and women's dressing rooms for those students that are in dance. And down here are the piano music rooms and the guitar music rooms. Those are the two classes that are the most popular in the Performing and Fine Arts program. And of course, I thought it was really important to place those classrooms there. Next is the recital hall. Like I mentioned earlier, Tucson High didn't have a specific place for a recital hall. It was in the gallery. And so now I made a space specifically for the recital hall for individual performances. And I also added a black box theater. If you guys don't know what a black box theater is, it's a theater that is completely black. The ceiling is black, floors are black, walls are black, and usually the seating is black as well. And a black box theater is meant to create a different environment. Instead of just having one set place where the stage is set, the actors in the performance is able to move around the space. It's just a different type of performance space. So over here is the mariachi music room. I made sure that they had a spot, since I know that is very important to Tucson High. They're very prideful of their mariachi. They have won many awards, so I felt like they deserved a spot in the main building instead of the basement. Next up is the band room. I'm going to talk about the band room and the orchestra room kind of cohesively, just because they're a little bit similar. But the reason why I placed them down here was because they would have easier access to the football fields, or when they're going to go on performances, they have easier access to the parking lots, so that they are not walking around the building carrying those big instruments. And then, so that's the choral room. And the reason I placed it right next to the orchestra room and the band room is that I know sometimes they collaborate with each other. And one of the last spaces is my gallery. I believe this is one of the most important spaces, just so that students are able to showcase their work, and so that when anyone who walks into this space can see the work that the students are doing, that those students are proud of to showcase their work. So now I'm going to be showing you my front entrance lobby, and that's located up at the top. So this is my front entrance lobby area. Whoever walks in the space, whether that's educators, administrators, students, parents, I wanted them to know that this is a high standard space, award-winning, and sophisticated. I really wanted this space to show professionalism, which is why I kept it very clean, very simple, just to show the sophistication. And of course, I have the Tucson High School logo on there, and I use maple wood wall treatments just to create a focal point in the space. So these would be the three main entrances into the auditorium, and these are the side entrances. With the side entrances, I wanted to create a type of drama. So when one is walking into the auditorium, it's not just plain white walls. I wanted to create an interesting aspect into the space. And here's a different view of the space as well. Since it is such a wide, long space, of course there's going to be a lot of noise going on, which is why I incorporated these ceiling hung acousticals. And not only do they serve for the acoustical purpose, but they serve for the aesthetic purpose of the space as well. And also I incorporated a little bit of seating, kind of a universal design for those who are coming into the show and are waiting for the show to start, or like there's an intermission. Those people who are waiting can come out and sit down, or even those parents who are waiting after the show, who are waiting for their students to come out. Now I'll be showing the orchestra room. For the orchestra room, I wanted to keep it very open and very spacious. I wanted students to be able to collaborate with one another. I wanted them to be able to move around, not just stick to one space. Like you saw in the previous orchestra room, there was levels on the ground and you couldn't really move the chairs around. This is why I created just a flat floor for students to be able to move around and really do what they want to do. And I didn't want to hide the instruments and just stuff them in a storage locker. I wanted them to be shown. Like I mentioned before, Tucson High does a lot of tours to attract students and get them into their program. And so my thought was, when students walk into the space, they want to see those instruments. They want to see that variety that Tucson High has. And not only that, but I placed these instrument storage for the aesthetic purposes as well. This is another view as well. This view showcases the acoustical treatments. These are acoustical wall panels. Not only is it for acoustics, but aesthetics as well. And now I will be showing the gallery. This is personally one of my favorite spaces. First, because it's for the students. It's specifically a space for the students, and it catches my eye a lot. So that's my gallery. This is that main wall. This is that wall right here. And I really wanted this space to be eye-catching to students as well. I wanted this space to be specifically for them. for them to be able to hang out before school, during lunchtime, or even after school. This is a space for them. And of course, I had to create something eye-catching so that students would want to hang out at that space. And that's why you see that cool sound wave on there. This is another view of the gallery, and these are floor-to-ceiling beams. And the reason why they're bright and red was because, again, I wanted to catch the attention of students or even anyone who walks in the space. I wanted to draw the attention to this spot, because this spot is where students' work is going to be showcased. These black squares right here are picture frames, so that whenever, let's say, a photography class has a project and they take pictures, those pictures can be showcased here for anyone to be able to see. Or when a drawing class does a project, those can be showcased right here. And there's 3 of them, and the picture frames are on both sides. One thing that I didn't mention, this is also the red lines that you see are a wayfinding. So this will lead you outward, and this will lead you to the exit, as well as right here, when you're in this spot, it would lead you directly to an exit. And it's kind of modeled that way all throughout the space. So now I will be showing the dance studios. And this is just specifically the ballet dance studio.
V, I just want to let you know you have about 1 minute left.
Okay, thank you. And then, so like I said, this is the dance studio for ballet, which is why there's a grand piano in there. And again, I really wanted the space to reflect a sophisticated and award-winning space, which is why I wanted it to be very clean and neutral. The mirrors are floor to ceiling, as well as, the mirrors are floor to ceiling. And as you can see, I did another eye-catching piece. This is another sound wave. It just kind of resembles the music in the performance program. One thing, as you can notice, in the orchestra room and in this room, the windows are placed at a higher level. And the reason I did that was because the reason was for security purposes. If there is someone on campus that's not supposed to be there, I didn't want them to be able to look into the classroom and see, oh, there's students in there, I'm gonna go in there. I really wanted students to be protected really from the outside. And my hope was really to inspire students to be able, for them to graduate, and for them to be able to continue in their education, and hopefully they don't get involved into violence, drugs, social pressures. I really hope that they are able to stick to an arts program and hopefully graduate high school. Yes. Ollie, sorry.
Okay. I love all your crazy shapes. I think they're so cool, and you really caught my eye. Like, I couldn't stop looking at them. So
I love how you pay so much attention to the ceiling. Like, I sucker for like ceiling design for some reason, and I just really liked what you did with it.
I thought your like flooring design was also pretty cool, like with all the lines. Just,
Yeah.
Did you mention it was in a historic building?
I didn't.
You did? Okay. I didn't know. Is it or anything? Or no?
The auditorium is.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's why I didn't really mention it, because I completely, if this was a real project, I wouldn't have moved the auditorium. But when I was going through the process of trying to decide where I wanted my spaces to be, there wasn't much movement.
Right.
Since I kept the auditorium in the same spot, there wasn't much movement of every other space. And for my capstone, I thought I really needed to go to another level. I really needed to elevate my space planning, and that's why I decided to move the auditorium.
I really like how it turned out. I love all your funky shapes. I love the colors. It's honestly, I think if you did present this in front of like the school board of Arizona or something in front of their board, they should accept it because based on the photos that you showed us in the earlier on part of your presentation, like it does need a bit of improvement, especially if it's for the next generation of students, the next generation of like us. We need to have somewhere where they can feel safe, they can be inspired to do productive work and to go on to be something better than just, what, just getting a GED. Something better than that. So I think great job.
Thank you.
Ladies? Any thoughts?
I do. I can't believe how much I wrote down. She's like, praise myself. No, there was, I definitely had a lot of questions because this is my first time hearing about your project. And so I have not been privy to the background, and so I definitely have questions which I don't necessarily think I have to ask here, but I loved how you researched the arts and just all the data on how that affects students and how they perform better when they have the arts. So you were setting it up like this is important. So I thought that was great, but I felt there was a little bit of a disconnect as far as what you were saying you were researching and then what you were telling us. So but I loved I'm like, the research on the arts, that was so amazing and great. You said you were researching performing spaces. So to me, I wanted to know, what about performing spaces did you find that you incorporated in your space? The learning environment, so I was waiting for that too, and safety and security. So when I saw your floor plan, I thought you did a great job space planning. The rendered floor plan looked really beautiful. The wayfinding on your floor I thought was so great. But then my question was, well, I'm not seeing the safety and security. You're entering in right into the building. Where is the barrier that someone has to get through in order to get into a public space? So I felt that was lacking because you set it up for how important it is. And then you did mention there's high windows, but it was like, well,
That's it.
the point of entry, what's happening there. I was really curious about one of your things was dexterity, and I thought that's interesting. I'm curious why that was an important word.
So dexterity is dealing with I guess in my context, I used it as it is a performing space, and dexterity is kind of dealing with the hands and dealing with instruments. And that's, since I'm mostly focused on the performance side of it, that's why I added that word in there.
Okay.
I felt it was relatable to working with the hands and the instruments and dancing.
Great. You had beautiful details. The orchestra room I thought was so beautiful, and your use of color.
The ceilings.
I mean, typically I feel like you just see black chairs, and that's what I think of when I think of an orchestra room. And so I loved your use of color, and I loved the sound wave motif that you carried throughout the space. So,
is that a sound wave of anything in particular?
No.
Just a sound wave. Okay.
I should have made up something, but
It's okay.
and you had great branding, I think, with your slides as well. So good job.
Yep, and that's where we'll end it. So thank you so much, V. Very good.
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
It's okay.